Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Hangout with Busayo.
Nothing happens by accident. There are things our eyes cannot see.
A complete one. Every challenge you have to re-strategize. Look at what you can do to beat the odds, to come up higher.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Hangout with Busayo. On today's episode of the program, we have someone who is doing well, very, very well, and I think you will learn a whole lot from him in terms of leadership, in terms of experience, in terms of all things that can really make us up, and also he's a youth advocate. We'll go back in the studio and you get to meet who I am with in the studio. Don't forget to subscribe. Yes, subscribe below. Is he here? I think here or here. Just subscribe to the channel and enjoy more content from me. Okay, welcome back from that short break. My name is Busayo Lowokere and this is still Hangout with Busayo. And today on the program we have someone spectacular with us, someone who is doing something great and the world needs to hear. People are hearing already, but we need to amplify it because it takes someone young to understand the needs of the young. And today we have Prince God's Will Edward with us in the studio. He is the president of Prince 7 Youth Development Initiative, and he is also the special advisor to the Cross River State Governor on Sports and Cinematography. Yes, he's very young and he's here with us in the studio. I think now we're meant to. I wish I had people maybe people here would have done. Whoa! Oh. Yeah, he's here.
I believe that is already a standing ovation. The words that and then how kind you are, is enough to give me the ovation that I need. So what's more important is service. Service speaks for itself, and I think that's why I'm here.
We have not gone far. You have started giving us one or two things. So just know that today this episode is going to be power packed. I would have put something like power packed maybe at the top of maybe something power packed.
Power is not seen.
Or a man of wisdom. Also put wisdom on that.
You don't see wisdom written on people's face. You kill it.
Oh my goodness. Okay, quickly, I want to know your drive. It's very everybody they're having different drives towards something they want to achieve.
That's true.
Everybody for instance, I'm here. There's something I want to achieve while I'm here in the studio with you, and definitely, what was your drive? What's driving you towards what you're doing?
I think what drives me is humanity. I live for God and country. So when you're driven by humanity, it means that God is speaking to you. It means that the people demand leadership, and leadership comes from God. God is the greatest leader, in the history of mankind. And if we must follow his steps, we must always consider people. When you look at around society, and even a blind man will know, and a deaf man will know that things are not going on well. So humanity, what's humanity? It means how do people live? How do we affect social change? How do we instigate value? How do we empower people? How do we create an environment that is equal, sense of equality amongst people? How do we look out for others? And how do we become our brother's keeper? So when I look at those things, I'm driven to see that we find a society that everybody is equal, which is why I said I always love to use the slogan, one for all for one. So that's what drives me. How can everybody be equal? It's impossible, but all fingers are not equal. When you talk about equality, it means that how can everybody be part of the narrative? How can you consider people in the things you do?
Okay, I also want to ask, it has been a question that has been on my mind since when I started making background checks of what you're doing, and I just have this question that's been reserved in my heart. I said one-on-one when we meet, I want to ask you this question and know how this all started. How did it start? Did you just start from did you start from secondary school? Because most people will tell you they started engaging in leadership roles right from, because you are doing things a whole lot for youth involvement in politics, and you are doing this and you are still a believer. I mean, you're still strong. I still follow you. At least I know one or two things you do, the fellowship you have in the house and all. I'm not, it's not I'm doing amebo, but I have to make my background checks and all. You still carry God and you still do what you do. How did it start?
God is supreme. First of all, I'll say that my journey through success stories I've had in life, and There's no story without, no glory without a story. So it started from family. I was born into a family where I have 6 elder brothers and 1 sister. So we're 8. I'm the 7th son. So the whole ideology of Prince 7, was formed and founded from family. I'm someone who believes so much in virtue. Family virtue was instilled in me. My parents raised me up knowing that God is everything, God is supreme. I started seeing miracles from my family. I always wondered how my father was able to navigate through sending his 7 kids, 8 children, and raise 7 sons and give us the best. So I had 6 older brothers, so automatically it means that I was the least. Can anything good come out of the least? Nobody considered me. And I wanted to make a mark. I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to rise beyond being the 7th son, and I had to create that brand. So from growing at the age of 7, having interface with my grandfather who was a king, and one day I asked him, can a grandchild of a king be called a prince? His Royal Majesty, late Okekbobo, looked at me and said, he's a lion. And everything that comes through him, I like him. And that I should be bold and confident and never give up. I should be fearless. I should speak truth to power. So those virtues, they instilled in me at the age of 7, built me up, and I realized that I wanted to make a difference. I started studying my brothers, from each of them, their mistakes, and I told myself, I cannot have 6 people ahead of me, and I now become better. So leadership is about learning from people. I went into secondary school. I was chapel prefect. I always used to run away from my primary school. I was assistant general head boy in the whole school. And then I realized that every time I shy away from leadership, it looks for me. So when I went to secondary school, they wanted me to be director of socials. I didn't want to, socials prefect, but I became chapel prefect. So standing before audience, and I accepted that because I was the smallest, very small in my class, and I needed to find boldness. The only place I could find self-discovery was in the early morning chapel or when the school closes, because I didn't want people to beat me up. So I was quite smart, and then I started learning how to speak. I started learning how to address people, and then I went to University of Calabar. I became director of socials in my faculty, became sports SUG. I started doing things value, creating value for people, got involved in sports and developed from there. I already had I was into entertainment. I used to be a dancer too. I think the first paid job I had was dancing, teaching people how to dance, being able to lead. I realized that leadership came with a lot of commitment and sacrifice. So it took me from all of these. I went to NYC. I became assistant platoon leader. I've always had followership. I like to create something that makes me distinguished. In my church, I was a youth president, so one leadership role or the other. I always wanted to escape from it, but destiny is something you can run away from. And I've evolved and found myself creating business. When I was in school, in university, I told myself, I realized that, I had a lot of elder ones, brothers, cousins, friends, bigger friends, who had graduated and no school, no job. So I noticed that for you to be a good leader, you must look at creating value. How do you create value? You find the problems that the society is faced with and give them solution. My dad is a king. Going back home, I'm beginning to speak to people and giving hope to youths in the rural environment. I was not really born in the community, but I always had the privilege of going there during Christmas. But going back there home, I knew that the first thing I did was to accept that I'm prince, I'm royalty. It doesn't matter the kind of prince you are. By then, my dad was a village head, but today he's a first-class king and he's a paramount ruler of the local government. My tribe sits on a lot of stools presently. So I noticed that you can build up, you can be a son, and for dynasty to grow, for generational shift to find its course, you must have young people who believe in the dreams of their fathers. You can never build a dream when you've not been part of the dream. You must know where you're coming from, your lineage. From your grandfather to your father, you must know your family pedigree. You must know that you have to be better than where you're coming from. So I've evolved and revolved around these circumstances, talking to my community people, getting involved in their life, wanting to be part of social change. What can we do for society, scholarship, looking out for people. So when you start doing little things, you get to a point where it overshadows you. You get to a point where you begin to go back home and see that the boy you advised, and 2 years after you go back home, he's doing well. You feel the courage to want to add more value to such a life. And then when you touch one person's life, say, be the light to light others. Is actually the motto of my foundation. It means that when you light someone, he goes around with the light and the fire you put in him, the values you instill in him to light others. So you become known by everybody, and you can't run away at that point in time. It becomes too late because you've affected the life of someone who by extension has affected another person's life, and everybody looks at the root. What's the root cause of this social change? It falls back at you, and it's too late for you to run away. So I've been in all of these, and I told myself from school days that the best thing to do is to create jobs. I don't want to graduate and carry files. I want to look at the major problem in society, which is job creation, and tell myself that I've been able to help government reduce one of their problems. If everybody is a problem solver, if everybody is a solution architect, it means that there'll be no problem without a solution. So we all have to get involved in solving problems, and that's what I've done all my life. But I looked at a critical area, growing up and realizing that the major problem of society was leadership. I just told myself the truth. If everybody is a leader, if everybody can at least lead himself, there'll be nobody that is leadless. So let's lead ourselves.
Okay, I want us to pause there and go on this short break. When we go on this short break, we still have Prince Godswill Edward with us in the studio. Stay tuned. Welcome back from that short break. We still have Prince Godswill Edward with us in the studio. You know, we've learned a lot. So just within the short time we had before the break, I wanted to just move out from the studio and just go and stand outside and say, man, I am a leader.
That's the spirit.
Okay, now we've looked at your drive. We've looked at how it all started. Now, what is the vision you see?
I see a vision. You know, my drive and vision are the same thing because they're intertwined. I see a vision of hope. I see a vision of restoration. My vision is about saying that everybody should be self-sufficient. You know, you have so much. Human capital development is the greatest, the greatest development anybody can look at. You know, value that comes from human. It's like every human on earth is God. You know, and God created us in His image and likeness. So if God could create beauty things we see, it means that all of us have so much beauty that we're yet to create. So why don't we deposit more energy looking at people who have the capacity to create beauty? If everybody is a creator of value, you know, it means that the world will be so valuable that even those who live and those who come will come to feel value. Let's look at Nigeria, the context of society. I've looked at Africa, but restricted to Nigeria. We have reason from one social change, you know, that's taken us from one social vices to another. You know, the history of Nigeria in the past, we realized that, you know, we had free education at one point in time, access to good education, access to good medical care services and all of that. That's the foundation, but we're supposed to harmonize and build on that foundation. Today, what we find is that there's no foundation. The foundation that was laid, you know, by our founding fathers have been destroyed. It shows that there's a big lacuna in leadership. So I realize that everybody must be taught to be contributory. You know, must be seen to contributing something to national development. If everybody is a contributor of value and not a beneficiary of value, it means that they will be looking for African countries and other parts of the world to come and benefit from the value that we have, because everybody will be seen to producing value and looking for external consumption. But now our consumption is within the context of Nigeria, and we cannot consume from what we are not building. So we are failing. You know, look at a youth that cannot be giving value cannot produce value. You don't ask people to let go of a system that was created for them without you creating a new system. And that's why I created the Give Them Balls Instead of Guns initiative that is promoting and supporting sports development in football, which is a very critical sports in society.
Yeah, and I was already coming to your team. Your team will be moving to the NNL. I was telling someone that it is going to be in the NNL. We have to watch P7.
My target is how can we promote local content and how can we promote the African dream. Our story has been shared, you know, by the West and other parts of the world. You know, but we have huge story. You know, don't forget. You know, I'm a photographer and a cinematographer because I love it and it's things I've invested energy in. You know, value and content development is very important. People come to look for fresh history, fresh locations. You know, we have value that have not been tapped in Africa, and until we begin to share that value to the world by creating active content that are verifiable, that we cannot showcase Africa to the world. We have energy and young people, very passionate people. The problem is we don't have institutions, we don't have the right structures, we don't have the enabling environment to create value. So what I'm doing and my purpose on earth is to see that every young child, not mind whether you're in Abeokuta in the community, or you're in Ogun State, or you're in Cross River State, or you're in Kano. The most important thing is that you're in Nigeria. There should be equality for every child in the urban and rural environment to be able to find true expression, to either showcase their talent or find development in skills. So everybody should be given the same opportunity to find opportunity in life. We have so much energy in young people. 75% of population of society is centered on the youth. So build the youth, build the future. It's been a story that has been told even before we were born. But what value do you want from young people? What do you want to get from young people that you've not given any support and empowerment? The prisons, have been built for the youth. It's a correctional center. But when our youths come out of the prison, they become more hardened. So it means that we're creating more demons by our policies and our initiatives and wrongfully not empowering the right set of people. Every young child out there has a talent. If you can help them develop that talent, they can become better citizens. That will help us provide wealth, produce economic sustainability, and become self-sufficient in society. So my approach is to see that let's focus on 75% of the population of society. Let's focus on the youth. And that's why I created the Prince 7 Youth Development Initiative, looking at every initiative that can help instigate social change and reduce negative vices in society. How can we build the youth appropriately? It's not about talking without doing. I'm a talk and do kind of person. I practice what I preach. You cannot preach what you don't practice. And they say little beginning, it's bigger than not starting at all. Don't build the mansions in the air. There should be practicalities and things to show about that value. So I'm very optimistic. I don't have so much. Just like the child who said, create one job and help reduce the rate of unemployment in society. First of all, make yourself a creator of jobs. Don't look for a job when there are no jobs. If you can give yourself that self-sufficiency, and if you can lead yourself, you can lead another. So I believe that every person out there is a leader, but we must help to mentor them, groom them, and make them better leaders. If you can lead yourself, you can lead the next person. Leadership is something that is a calling. So if you can lead yourself, it means that we'll have a society where everybody is leading and nobody is a follower. So we'll all be partners to build a change that we all seek for.
Okay, you've heard that from our guest in the studio today. So we would be doing something now. We'll be wrapping things up on the program. And I know you have learned a thing or two. But before then, I just want to, let's talk sports maybe in 2 minutes. NNL, I'm very concerned. I'm a sport person too. And when I was just going through and I saw, he's going to be enrolled in the NNL for next season, and I'm asking, how? That's a huge one there.
It took us a lot of consistency. Actually, the truth is I'm not a footballer, but these days I play ball, and I ask myself, wow, what's so special about me? I see my kids play ball, and I'm like, well, first of all, I realized that there was something. That's why I want to also encourage people out there that you cannot do something does not mean that you cannot lead it. That you cannot do something does not mean that the fact that you can't do it means that you should be able to find people who can do it. Support society, support the next person, be your brother's keeper. I was never a footballer, I never played football. I actually love basketball. I'm the chairman of Basketball Federation, Cross River State, by the grace of God. Why? I invested. I went many years ago in 2012, renovated the full basketball pitch and stadium, flagged the first 3-a-side basketball tournament called the Prince 7 Mega Slam. Some of those people who were in those competitions brought fiber. I was officiated by Federation of Basketball. So I was able to invest that resources, giving hope. People keep asking me, why do you spend your time, your energy on young people? The truth is this: the youth are the future, and the future is now. So sports development is very important. So the energy of young people, if they are useful in their youthfulness, then you can imagine how useful the society can be. You burn that energy from when you're a teenager to when you're a youth. So your youthful age ends at 35, but in Africa we like to call it 40, 45. So imagine if you pass that time where you're supposed to create value for your life. You're supposed to create a foundation and a base that the rest of your life will depend on. If you miss that mark of a youthful man that is well empowered and encouraged to show value, you can never have it again at your old age. So I look at how do we create that energy? How do we burn energy in a positive way? How do we encourage football, promote it? It's helping to develop local content, go into communities where most of the hoodlums we think about come from. And that's why I also promote and talk about why the traditional rulers should be given every necessary opportunity, because they're the first leaders in every society. We know every criminal that hides in the community when they come to the urban area to cause havoc. So go catch them in their homes. catch them in their prime, get the footballers, get the basketballers, get the local dancers, get that energy that they believe in, and help that energy to stay positive and focused. When you can do that, there will be no guns. But when you do not encourage negative, positive energy, the positive energy grows without encouragement and burns so much energy that it begins to backfire to negative vices and become a destructive tool in society. So I feel that my passion for football, but because I noticed that it's a game of unity, it's a game that brings young people together. It's a game, one of the most played sports on earth. Well anticipated, everybody wants to look into it. So we have so much energy, and let's get the youths to play. Let's give them an opportunity to give them footballs so we can take guns. Let's make them self-sufficient, and we've done that. We just finished playing the Division 2 league, National League in Bayelsa. It took me a lot. At least today I can tell you that all my players who play under my sports, because I have a sports academy where we train them, and then after that we sign them into the club, the Prince 7 FC. It's a football club, give them an opportunity to find international and national recognition and become career football players, well licensed. So NFA have licensed them. And the FIFA encourages that too. So we don't want to just train players without giving them hope. We want them to grow from one level to another. Let it be build up. I used to do the Prince 7 Abiako Sport Festival, where we do festival of more than 7 games every December. I did that for a lot of time. I've believed so much. I've been investing my energy for the past how many years in football and sports development. But at this point in time, I said, come, let us concretize our efforts and take this thing within scouting, but have something that's formidable. I would like to one day welcome the team to come to maybe Arsenal Stadium and see that my club is playing Arsenal, or probably we're buying off Chelsea, football promotion.
Exactly. Some Chelsea fan out there now, come and buy it. All right.
You cannot do big things if you don't start somewhere. So you start little, and then from little, one drop of water builds an ocean. So whatever I'm doing, I'm very optimistic, I'm intentional, I'm determined. My passion is to see that I reduce the level of prisons in Nigeria. There should be real correctional centers transformed to youth development centers, so that if our people go there, you find something that's self-sufficient. In as much as you're sentenced for life or sentenced for death, there's still value we want to extract from you. And the best place to extract that value is where they're in their rehabilitation environment, where they can put in the best before they leave this earth. That they have been condemned by man does not mean that God has condemned them. So let's look into useful opportunities to engage young people. There are youths who are out there that are yet to commit crime. Stop them from committing crime by equipping them with value. What skills do they have? What talents do they have? Develop it. Let's encourage education, but I can tell everybody now, in the world, no matter how educated you are, there's no job. Learn the skill. So we're teaching young people the right thing, teaching them character in leadership, mentoring them with the appropriate things to do. And I feel that the only way to bring youth together and you bring unity together is through sports, through football. So football is a game that unites people. Football is a language that both the old and the young can understand. So we're using football to instigate that social value and then attract people that can come together and begin to learn different other things and opportunities. Let them begin to see hope that the football player who played, just like our forefathers, some of them played in the villages and never went to the urban city to play. Now Prince 7 FC and Prince 7 Football Academy is there to ensure that we give you the opportunities to play from your rural environment, grow to the state level, now in the national league, and then go international. And I believe that God will help us achieve this and sustain this. So we're calling on everybody there to support the initiative.
Amen. Amen. Wonderful one there from Prince Goswill. And today, this is how we'll take it today on the program. And I just want to say thank you for joining on the show today. It's been awesome having you present with us. See you next week on another episode of Hangout with Busayo. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and get more content from us. Bye.
Thank you.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Hangout with Busayo.
Nothing happens by accident. There are things our eyes cannot see.
A complete one. Every challenge you have to re-strategize. Look at what you can do to beat the odds, to come up higher.